And then we gotta go back
Can
to.
you just give me like the meeting, the key and the passcode?
The meeting key and the passcode.
Is it on the meeting key? Would that be, no, not the call-in, the webinar ID?
Yeah,
Is that
we,
what it is?
yeah,
So I can get into the Zoom. Okay, yeah. I'm just gonna minimize this.
Let me go off camera real quick.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Hi, Vina.
hi, Robert.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. How are you?
I'm hanging in there too. Hi, Nco, Felix. How's everything? Hi, Ann.
All is well. Thank you for asking.
Good, good, good. I know we're waiting, I think, because these guys, Celeste wound up calling them because they totally forgot that we had our meeting, you know, after we done made a contract in regards to them setting up. So they must be late setting it up. So hopefully we'll be on there soon.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hi, Felix, how are you? Hi, Luisa Jose.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Ray Brown.
Late. I see you are still in the car. You're late.
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening,
Good
everyone.
evening, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Hi,
Captain.
Captain Clausen. Hi, Captain Clausen. How are you? I see you more than I see my wife, bro. I don't know. It's a joke. It's a joke. Everything can be working on play, man. Right, Ann? That's why you laughing. There you go. How are you, Tanisha?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Stephanie. How are you?
Good
I'm good,
evening.
thank you.
Very good. Thank God for joining.
Glad to be
We'll
here.
be right with you soon because I don't know too sure if the people that were supposed to do the WebEx are on there or not. I know they were supposed to be setting up, so
Okay, thank you.
How is everybody since we last saw each other? It looks like there's a couple new people, but also a lot of old friends and community board members. People have a good summer?
Yes.
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 Yeah, last day of
Yes.
summer.
That's right. Today is the last day of summer. You're exactly right. Tomorrow fall begins.
Mm.
This is all happening way too fast. So like,
I agree with you.
The last day of the summer and beautiful day today.
What a beautiful day. And tomorrow's supposed to be beautiful too. So that'll ease that transition.
Well, like it's supposed to get really cool later on this week. So maybe that transition won't be too easy.
Yeah. Well, maybe we all pull out our sweaters and we think, yeah, we love
Oh,
fall.
yeah, Friday's going to be some sweater weather.
Oh.
Hey, you shouldn't be talking about that. Y'all messing us up, man. We want some nice weather. We don't want no sweater weather.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
I'm Puerto Rican. I want some heat. Forget about that sweater weather stuff.
I
gotta put
agree
the
with
heat
you,
on. I got
Mr.
my bed.
Camacho.
I'm not behind like the weather. I'm just reporting what's coming. Like you know, don't kill the messenger.
Yeah, but you should have said, you should have kept it low. Don't tell nobody, man. Let them be surprised. Mr. Weatherman, we're gonna call you Sam Johnson.
No. Like everything about this is part of the unofficial public hearing. So
the recording has not started yet. No one's gonna hold this against you, James.
yeah, I mean, so yeah, like you could even say that this is unofficial. Like, so this doesn't even count.
We'll put that in your monthly report.
Like the unofficial monthly report, but not the one that goes on the record.
Check. Can folks hear me on Zoom?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Is the board ready to begin? All right, I got some thumbs up. So I'm glad to see everyone's able to check in with each other before we get started. So I want to make sure we can move the agenda along. Since the board has indicated they're ready to go, we'll get our recording started. All right, so welcome everyone to CB4's September 2022 public hearing and regular meeting. It is now 6:08 p.m. and we're going to go ahead and get started. We have two public hearing items, and I believe one of our presenters is already on Zoom from the Department of Environmental Protection. Are you able to speak? You should be a panelist.
Forgive me, Celeste, there's a little bit of an echo.
All right, not sure what the echo is. Is it better now or not really?
Good morning. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Robert.
Hi. So Denise Hubbard had to. She said that the community board reserves that we had been giving out.
Yeah. So you're for whatever reason you're having some noise issues, Robert. I'm not sure if it's a connection problem, but we couldn't really hear that.
Denise Hubbard board was interested in the flood barrier giving Wisconsin tonight.
That's correct. So tonight's presentation is supposed to be on the Rainfall Ready Action Plan.
Okay, so a brief description. So we had piloted this new Ready program where we had sent out letters to flying in flood-prone areas to sizes, and along with the flood barriers, we also donated to us by DOT and sanitation. Hitting each borough in New York City, each borough weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Brooklyn, we did
it. Still sounds drowning in the water.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Robert. So apparently we're still not able to hear you very well. It's unclear. So some folks have already mentioned that we can't hear you. I'm not sure if you're able to reconnect. Potentially the sound will improve, but it's just we're not able to hear what you're saying clearly.
Okay, let me log off and log back in real quick.
No problem. Thank you. So I believe in the interim, we also have some of our elected officials joining us this evening. If I'm not mistaken, I believe our senator is on. Senator Salazar, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Celeste.
Hey there.
I can go ahead and speak now if you'd like.
Yeah, please do. Welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you all and be with you this evening. I'm Senator Julia Salazar. I know many of you know Carlos, our Director of Community Relations, but really glad to personally be with you this evening and hope that you can hear me well. Wanted to just share some of what our office has been up to and upcoming events to save the date. As you all may know, we have recently in New York received quite a few asylum seekers who have just arrived in New York, and Our office is seeking to welcome them and support them. There actually is a shelter where many of them are temporarily staying on Cook Street in our district. And so we want to support them with some of their basic needs. On October 1st, we will be having an event to gather resources, a resource fair for asylum seekers who have just arrived in North Brooklyn in particular. We also want to let everyone know about a new long-term jobs initiative that the state has launched, a program that will serve particularly young people in areas such as Bushwick that have been impacted by gun violence. So for young people ages 18 to 24, they can sign up to participate in a partnership that we have with the Consortium for Worker Education, which is the workforce development arm of New York City's Central Labor Council. So I'll share information with the community board. I can also share it in the Zoom chat for young people who can find out if they're eligible between the ages of 18 and 24. They will receive free job training and placement services, part of an initiative to try to decrease gun violence in our communities. But just wanted to share a little bit of that with you all. We've had a busy summer here in Bushwick, and for anything that you need at all, to get in touch with me and my office, my email is salazar, SALAZAR, at nysenate.gov. And my district office is here in Bushwick at 212 Evergreen Avenue, located close to the Central M subway stop and to Myrtle Broadway.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any questions, board members?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
So, are the jobs to decrease gun violence, will they be focused on that, or is it so that you can get them off the street so there would not be gun violence?
So the jobs are not necessarily related to gun violence prevention, although some of them may be, but it's in partnership with the New York State Department of Labor, with a range of different workforce development groups, organizations. And what the program does is it provides job training, stipends, the ability to obtain work-related credentials and placement in good paying, good quality jobs for young workers who live in areas like Bushwick, also parts of our district like East New York, that have seen high rates of gun violence, because we know that gun violence is often related to gang activity, which typically is fueled by unemployment and the challenges that young people are facing with obtaining employment. So it isn't in that way specifically related to gun violence, the way that like a gun buyback program might be.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
All right, we have another question from Ms. Bennett.
Good evening, Senator Salazar. Would you please clarify for us your position on legalization of sex workers and particularly how it affects Bushwick?
Sure. So there are two different terms that are often used when it comes to sex work, or the legal term that's used, prostitution. One is legalization, which typically refers to officially creating an industry, a model that they have in Las Vegas, for example, or in red light districts. And then there is something called decriminalization, which just seeks to remove statutes from the criminal code that have criminal penalties for consensual sex between adults that constitutes sex work, right? Like trading trading sex or buying or selling sex. I do support the decriminalization of sex work. While I don't actually support creating an industry the way that you might with like the legalization of certain substances like marijuana. But I do support the decriminalization of sex work. And I think that in a community like Bushwick, where we sometimes see community members engaging in sex work in public places because it is criminalized to, for example.
What is the difference between decriminalization and legalization? Can you help us with that?
Yes. So decriminalization would not create, for example, like a permitting system for people to engage in sex work. It would just remove criminal penalties for the actual act of participating in the sex industry as consenting adults. It would not, for example, remove criminal penalties for trafficking, for sex trafficking, which is distinct. We do believe that should be a criminal offense, right? For engaging in sex acts in public, that is a criminal offense. That shouldn't constitute what sex work is. There are laws that say that you shouldn't do these kinds of things in a school zone. Decriminalizing sex work would not entail removing those criminal penalties, but instead it would just say that the trading of sex between consenting adults would be legal, and the police would not target individuals for participating in the sex industry in that way. So for a neighborhood like Bushwick, where you might see people who participate in the sex industry in public places, if sex work were decriminalized the way that we've seen it in other localities, I believe that it would make it so that people would be they would be able to more safely participate in this in private residences, for example, because under the current law, one of the ways that sex work is criminalized is that you can't even engage in it in your own home, right? In a private residence. So a lot of people who are seeking to participate in the industry, or who are seeking to participate in the industry, might be doing so in public, which is something that naturally a lot of neighbors in Bushwick don't really want to see, or and understandably. So I really believe that that the decriminalization of sex work would actually decrease the sort of public manifestations of the sex industry that we sometimes see in Bushwick.
So just a follow-up question is a homeowner. The homeowner gets a renter. The renter decides, I'm going to pay my rent, provide sex for money. How is that handled? You said it's decriminalized. This person is conducting a business for money. What rights does the homeowner have? What rights do the neighbors have? And how do the police proceed in a situation like that?
So for a homeowner who has a rental property, who has a tenant, for like, let's say that I'm a tenant and I have a dog. A landlord can certainly refuse to rent to me or say in my lease that I'm not supposed to have a dog. And I know this might seem, but I'll explain why this is related, right? If I were to reject that as a renter and get a dog, the dogs are not illegal, right? We all know that, but it would be a violation of my lease, and it would be completely within my landlord's rights to kick me out and say, no, you agreed not to do this in the property that I own where you live. And you know, they would have every legal right to tell me not to do that. So similarly, yeah, I think that
Why don't you take
property
that
owners.
three?
Sorry, go ahead.
Were there other questions? Oh, Barbara, you got to get the mic.
I'm a little confused, Miss, to the question the young lady just asked. She's a homeowner and I rent the apartment. When I rent the apartment, I didn't tell her this is what I do on the side. All of a sudden, now I'm going to do this. Now I have all these different men trafficking in and out my house. How is that going to be legal? That's not the homeowner. I'm confused.
So I mentioned before, trafficking would not be something that's legal if sex work were decriminalized. But in addition to that, property owners have the ability to set terms for what is and is not acceptable behavior from tenants to a reasonable degree. And if a property owner says, you can't have guests, different guests all the time, or, but I think it's important to set those clear boundaries as a property owner if you have a tenant, and set those expectations. And then those expectations need to be met.
May I ask?
Go ahead.
You said to make the guidelines clear. I mean, can someone put in their lease no sex working on these premises? I mean, can they be that clear?
I don't see why not.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions for the senator? Going once?
I have a question, Celeste.
Go,
Josh
yeah.
Brown.
Oh, Josh and then
Julia,
Mr. Camacho.
while we're speaking about policy, can you speak on your stance in regards to the good cause eviction law? Because Bushwick is full of landlords who own 2 and 3 family homes. And if they can only cap their rent increase at 3%, we essentially make the whole market a rent regulated market. Also, as if a 2-family landlord has a month-to-month tenant, they would need to use.
It sounds like Josh got cut off, but I believe he got most of the question. I don't know if the senator would like to just jump in, and we'll see if he can hop back on.
Sure, I can respond to what I heard of Joshua's question. So I'm the lead sponsor of the Good Cause Eviction Bill.
I'm back, Julia. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No, okay. Go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, in regards to the good cause law, which caps rent increases at 3%, and also for 2 and 3 family homeowners, they have to have a reason to evict a month-to-month tenant. Could you just speak on your stance with that? Because essentially, for those homeowners here in Bushwick who own 2 and 3 families, is if they have a tenant and inflation is currently 8%, is if they can only increase the rent 3%. Could you just speak on your stance and just how that affects us smaller homeowners? For larger businesses and developers, and it makes sense, but we essentially create a 3% cap for every single home I'm owning. So I just wanted you to address that in terms of clarity for us. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. So I'm happy I'll share the text of the legislation with everyone so you can see it. I'm the lead sponsor of this bill. The Good Cause Eviction Bill says that, first of all, I should clarify that there are exceptions to this bill, like to good cause even applying. One example is in an owner-occupied home, a 2 or 3 family home where the homeowner lives in the home, good cause eviction would not apply. Even in larger buildings, like 12 units or less, if a homeowner were seeking to move into the property, then the good cause eviction bill wouldn't apply. But what the good cause eviction bill says is that for rental properties that are not otherwise subject to any rent regulation at all, that the homeowner would have to have a good cause to evict. So good cause is enumerated in the bill. It means, it could mean a nuisance, for example, that a nuisance situation constitutes good cause to evict. Non-payment of rent that the tenant agreed to pay, that constitutes good cause to evict. When it comes to rent increases, it would create a rebuttable presumption, which legally means that it could be contested in court, that the property owner should not raise the rent by either 150% of the consumer price index, which is inflation, the current rate of inflation, or 3%, whichever is higher. So if good cause eviction were law right now, for example, it would be 1.5 times the current CPI, which I believe is pretty high right now. I think it's maybe 8 or 9%. Would have to double check, but it's high. We all know that inflation is high right now. That the property owner would actually be able, without any contest, they would be able to raise the rent pretty significantly. 1.5 times 8%. Gosh, that's what? That's 12%. And again, it's a rebuttable presumption. So if the property owner had some kind of financial circumstances, such as their property taxes increasing, they could say, no, my property taxes have increased. I really need to raise the rent by 20%, which I should add is really high, right? Or I need to raise it by 13%, right? That's it might not sound like a lot, but that's a pretty substantial rent increase. I think a lot of us probably wouldn't be able to afford to live where we do if we're renters. If we were subject to a 13% rent increase, we might just move, or we would try to negotiate with our landlord. But I do support the bill. And I want to make sure that everyone is informed and knows exactly what the bill would do, and about the exceptions, because the bill is really designed to not impact small homeowners and people who live in the rental properties where they rent to tenants.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Camacho?
Yeah, thank you, Senator. I'm just a little confused, and I think that some communities, whoever maybe would want that kind of sex work, or don't want or want. I'm just curious as to, before we create an environment where, or the elected officials environment where they're gonna create a bill or do a bill, isn't it fair to give us input on, one, what the bill is gonna do, two, how is it gonna hurt some of the people of the community, or three, is it fair that we would have input either up or down, or just an advisory in regards to creating a bill or doing something? Because we don't get information until after all these elected officials get together, and then we don't get no info in regards to how to vote. I think that us together and things occur, we really need to work together, because if you create a law, I think the community should know what's going on and how it affects us and how it works, because every community is different in its own way. Williamsburg got their own agenda, Butcher got one, East New York and Cypress Hill. Even though we're all dealing with the same thing, it's different things that people want. I think sometimes when we cater only to one person, the people that have been in this community so long are the ones that suffer. And I say all the time that sometimes the elected officials should come to the community or to us and say, listen, what do you think about this? This is what I want to do. This is what's going to affect, instead of just throwing something in there, sex work, and now all of a sudden they're out there doing their due diligence, and then the officers got their hands tied. And guess what? The old lady got to deal with what's going on and seeing all this. Just like someone when they went to a park and see the guys with naked clothes walking up and down the streets, when you know.
I think Mr. Camacho is frozen, so he may come back But I don't know, Senator, if you'd like to respond to some of the remarks he made before freezing.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully he'll come, his reception will come back. But yeah, I absolutely think that elected officials, we are accountable to all of the communities that we represent. And every single person here, everyone who lives in Bushwick, I want to hear your policy recommendations, and I want to hear what you think about these issues. It's always important to me, not just during community board meetings, but at all times. And yeah, I mean, frankly, I agree with that. I will say that, you know, I'm not interested in introducing legislation that is not informed by the people who are impacted by the legislation, right? People who have seen the sex industry in Bushwick, who have seen, let's say, gun violence in Bushwick, and who are affected by the real estate market, who are renters, who are property owners. All of these voices need to be informing policy because it impacts all of us. So I agree with that.
Thank you, Senator. Anyone else? Last call for questions for the senator. Going once.
I'd like
Going
to say,
twice. Oh, go ahead.
so Senator, you mentioned that people don't get it. We don't get it. Do we get a chance to know about the agenda before it happens so that we can be a part of it, like Mr. Camacho said? Is that something that is coming into play, or?
Yeah. So for one, I should mention that let's take the good cause eviction bill, for example, since we were just talking about it. That bill was actually drafted directly by individuals who live in Bushwick and who have lived in Bushwick for quite a long time and who are renters. It was drafted with members of Make the Road New York, right? And you know, that was just the drafting of legislation. When it comes to the agenda in Albany, when we're in session, January through June, typically, often, unfortunately, I don't necessarily know the agenda. We call it the active list until, you know, the day before or a couple days before we're voting. But so it's you know, one of the better ways for me to constantly communicate with the community is through hosting town halls and making myself and my office accessible, and soliciting that input from you all about policy, whether it's about, you know, if it's about sex work, if it's about housing, et cetera. But yeah, absolutely. So I think it's kind of there's more than one answer to the question.
But a lot of people that you learn these things from were renters, but the owners, I mean, it's horrible. I mean, what we see firsthand, see the business firsthand, and children, and as Mr. Camacho said, older people. Is this going to be in all communities? I mean, because yes, it is in Bushwick, but I mean, it's not going to be on Park Avenue and different places like that.
I know people
it's not policed anymore. So what can we, I mean, it's illegal for them to be in our yard, in our property, right? Doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. You have control over what's happening in your yard and on your property. Additionally, I should add that sex work is very much, it's criminalized. And any proposal to decriminalize sex work is not being brought up to a vote. And you all would absolutely know if it were. It's a controversial issue. And as it is right now, you know, there still is very much enforcement. In fact, Bushwick, both Bushwick and East New York previously, just a few years ago, had the highest rates in the city of arrests that were related to prostitution.
Because our NCOs here are saying that their hands are tied, that they can't really do anything about it anymore, like sex work.
If it's actually,
so it's not legalized?
No, it's not. It's not legal. No.
Okay.
All right. Seeing no other hands. Oh, Miss Spellin, go ahead.
I just have one question. Is there going to be a public hearing in reference to this topic? Because homeowners in this neighborhood need to know and need to get out and voice their opinion. You say that renters in the neighborhood are interested in doing this. Well, they need to go move someplace else because we don't need it here.
I just want to clarify if we're talking about decriminalizing sex work.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I should add, renters as a organized group have not advocated for in one way or the other for decriminalizing sex work. I just want to clarify that. But good cause eviction is a completely separate bill that's unrelated to sex work. And if there is support for a public meeting about sex work and the decriminalization and the impact on Bushwick, I would absolutely support having a public meeting about it, and would be happy to do that.
All right, I see another hand. Cassandra?
Hey, I just have a follow-up to that, which is more procedural. And if folks did want to organize a public hearing on any topic, not just this topic, even though I know the question of sex work is something that a lot of folks in Bushwick feel really passionate about, and it is a controversial issue. If folks did want to organize a public hearing about things that they feel really passionate about, what would the process be? And would it implicate the New York Senate, or would that be something more that community board members would need to bring to a vote, or what is the protocol with that?
Yeah, I think that it varies. So if we wanted to have a public meeting in Bushwick about the subject, I would love to work with you all, with anyone who's interested in doing that, and we can just do it. We don't need the permission of the Senate. To have an official legislative hearing, we do need the endorsement, I guess, of the New York State Senate. That can sometimes be more challenging because it's just subject to the approval of Senate leadership. Although if that's of interest, and I will say it's not always, sometimes legislative hearings are not necessarily accessible. They're technically accessible to the public, but often they're announced on short notice. Can be difficult for people to testify. They're not always the superior option, but even if there's a desire to do that instead, I would absolutely push for it, and would recommend that together we, maybe gather petition signatures to demonstrate popular support to Senate leadership to do it. But we don't need their permission to have a public hearing or a town hall that my office can hold. And I'm more than happy to do that, especially if there's interest in doing that.
All right, thank you so much.
And for point of clarification, the community does have a right to exercise their right and make sure that what it is that we need to have a voice in this. So that's under the city charter. So we do have a right as board member in the city charter.
Thank you. And I believe that's Mr. Ceballos, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, good evening. My name is Felix Ceballos. I want to know, in Bushwick community, I see private company, they buy building, they fixing, and just they rate the rents. They put any price they want. That is illegal?
Yeah, unfortunately, it depends on the case, but unfortunately, let's say it's a developer or a private they has a new rental property, or they just purchased one, if it is not rent regulated, then they have the right to set the rent as high as they would like. and frankly, with legislation such as the good cause eviction bill, what it would seek to do is ensure that the rents in a property like that could not just be, increased by an unreasonable amount on tenants who live there. But under current law, they typically can. But if there are cases that you know of where, for example, someone just came in and bought a property and they're trying to kick out the tenants who are paying their rent, or increase the rent by an enormous amount, and people are at risk for that reason, I really want to know about it so that we can help and try to intervene in the situation so that people don't lose their homes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so we will have to wrap up now, folks. Thank you so much, Senator, for being here and answering these questions. We really appreciate it. And we welcome you to continue listening in on our meeting this evening.
Thank you.
All right. With the EP.
Hi, is the audio better? Hello?
Much better.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead. Much
Okay,
better.
so Ready Rainfall. The Ready Rainfall program was where we had sent out letters to residents and constituents in low-lying areas and flood-prone locations. We had this program in every borough of New York City. We did it over the weekend on a Saturday and a Sunday. For Brooklyn, we did it out of our waste treatment plant, the 26th Ward, off of Flatlands Avenue. Through this program, we provided flood barriers, which are these inflatable barriers of different sizes. Along with the flood barriers, we also provided sandbags that were donated to us by DOT and sanitation. We have just recently, this past weekend, wrapped up the pilot program. So next we're exploring how to do wider outreach to the community to provide these barriers to more residents and more constituents who want them. So we're looking to either partner with local elected officials, similar to our Rainbow program, or to do direct mailing to residents. We're still in the discussion phase about how we're going to move forward, but that's essentially how the program operated and what the constituents can receive through the program.
All right, thank you. So I know this sounds like a lot of this is early, but as DEP likely knows, many of our residents and stakeholders in the neighborhood have been affected by extreme weather and also by naturally occurring weather. Just last week, we had rain that flooded a majority of Wilson Avenue. I know our council members were on the ground. So I think the question here is, how aligned are these efforts for Rainfall Ready with what's already occurring in neighborhoods like ours? And is there also alignment with other larger city efforts, such as the Stormwater Resiliency Plan, as well as the cloudburst management efforts?
Well, the idea of this program is to help residents protect their homes. See, this barrier is used to block off doorways, garages, entryways that are susceptible to overland flooding. So it's more of like trying to help homeowners to protect themselves while the city does what is necessary to update the sewer system to take in the new reality of the storms that we experience, between superstorms, which are happening with more and more frequency, and the higher than average rainfall that we were used to. The new average is higher than what was built to intake and manage flooding in the city. So it's going to be a huge undertaking to update the sewers to this new reality. So in the meantime, we're encouraging residents to protect their homes, either by getting a backflow preventer or signing for our the app, the WAIT program, which notifies residents to reduce their water usage to not inundate the sewer system with more water than it's already taking in through the storm. And this is a free program that we were able to actually provide real material to residents to use.
Great. So if homeowners in Bushwick want to learn more, how can they learn more about this program?
Reaching out to the community board, such as yourself, or to local elected officials. They can try calling DEP itself. I'm not sure we have a page yet on our website that details this program. since it's still so brand new essentially. But there will be a wider information to the public as we proceed with this program now that we've completed the pilot phase.
Great. I see a hand from Ann Guiney.
Yes, I'm just wondering, is this something that when the rain starts, people need to deploy, or can you give a little bit more information about it? Or, I think Bushwick is like 80% of the people who live in Bushwick are renters, or I don't know the exact numbers, but it's a high ratio. So how can folks who are living in it, because a lot of Bushwick is liable to flooding. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how to protect renters and not just like the whole community?
Well, so this specific program is for properties itself, not for, wider street flooding. Like I said before, you deploy it before a rainstorm occurs. You actually fill it with water to inflate this barrier, and then you place it along the frame of your door or garage door to prevent overland flooding from infiltrating into the home. So it's not really a solution to flooding for someone who lives on like the 9th floor of a building per se, but more on the ground level of like when the water overflows the sewer system and is on the street and can get into a property.
And basement flooding? Does that?
Yeah, like basement flooding, for example.
Can this prevent basement flooding?
If it's a sewer backup, no, that's more of a backflow preventer. It's more for overland flooding.
When you say overland flooding, that sounds like, just so that we all understand, is that a technical term, or what exactly does that mean? Is that like 1 inch?
When there's too much water in the street and it's overflowing onto the sidewalks and then up into people's property.
So it's for places that are above grade. So it wouldn't really work for basements. It's all above grade. So street level.
So,
right. I guess it's a more appropriate way to say street level flooding.
So yeah, the basement issue is got to be a separate solution then, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we recommend people to install a backflow preventer, but if you do install a backflow preventer, you need to understand that once that device is activated, yes, it will prevent water from flowing back from the sewer system into your basement. But at the same time, that means you also need to limit the amount of water you use within your home, because if it's blocking water from getting in, it's also blocking water from getting out. So these people who get these devices, they don't understand that sometimes, and they'll run like the dishwasher, the laundry machine, stuff like that. And then they'll create their own personal sewer backup through that means. But it's the best way to protect against a combined sewer overflow or a sewer backup into a basement.
So but this is from rainflow, like obviously the Hurricane Ida last year, whenever it was, that we saw the incredible street flooding. And I know, and maybe Senator Salazar can speak to it, that some of the parts of East New York, which are not in our community district, but they're our friends and neighbors, they got hammered by flooding in that, and parts of Bushwick got hammered in that. Is this going to, would you be able to tell us how this fits into a larger, flood prevention program?
Well, as mentioned earlier, it's to help assist homeowners with protecting their homes while we work on trying to update the sewer system. So it fits in as a means of helping homeowners to protect themselves. It's not a silver bullet to solve flooding. This program.
Okay. And I can actually speak to your question. Currently, I'm working with, this is Desmond Monroe. Currently, I'm working with OEM, the Office of Emergency Management, on their risk reduction and preparedness program for the whole city. So aside for the prevention that he's talking about, we are doing studies about, what are you talking about when it comes down to backflow valves. We're looking at how the city can, help with blocks and infrastructure. So there is a larger program actually happening. It just has it's like parts of it are being announced one by one, and we're actually working through the whole program. So they are doing a big rollout, and they do have the money. It was granted through the state, through CDBGDR, and it's all coming in. And so their studies are actually going to start right now. They're actually releasing task orders for floodplain studies in Bushwick and Queens. So you're going to see, after the studies are collected, then you're going to see the initiatives behind the studies. But we just have to get the data first.
Thank you, Desmond. Thanks, Anne.
Desmond.
And we have our council member with us this evening as well. Councilmember Nurse has a question.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And thanks to Robert from DEP for sharing this and for the CB4 for organizing this conversation. It's really important and timely. And I know we had a city council hearing where the commissioner shared like really in-depth detail about the amount of money and that you all are well resourced to move these capital projects forward, but they will take time. One of the questions we had and some of the things that are coming up from folks coming to our office with damages is that these are now, you know, these flash floods, these cloud bursts are now happening in places that homeowners weren't asked to have flood insurance because these weren't previous zones. I don't know if that was mentioned before, but that's just something that if you were impacted or if you're in kind of the dip in Bushwick, coming from, you know, Central and you're hitting to Wilson and Knickerbocker, those are places where flood insurance may or may not be something to consider, because as of right now, if you don't have that, you're kind of really on your own.
Yes,
and the city really hasn't had been able to offer much. And I also know that the city had just basically denied a bunch of claims from folks from last year. So there really isn't going to be some financial support at the moment. And I would really encourage folks to consider that additional cost, unfortunately. But thank you so much for presenting this. But if you do have anything you want to offer to folks tonight about folks who may have claims for this new type of situation that's happening more regularly, it would be great to hear any progress on that front. Thank you.
Yes, so when a constituent files a claim for damages that are perceived to have been caused by a failure or neglect by the city of New York, it goes to the city's controller's office to review and to respond to whether they're going to deny it or to give financial payout. I believe the controller had ruled this as like a kind of like an act of God type of deal, where, you know, it wasn't a failure of the city infrastructure since it was a storm that exceeded what was designed for. So it's really between, you know, the constituents or elected officials and the controller, who was also an elected official, on why he denied all those claims. Unfortunately, we're not able to give payouts. It's all through the controller's office.
Mr. Camacho? I believe you're muted. Oh, go ahead.
I got it. That's fine and dandy, but say that to someone that's been living in their home for 60, 70 years, and all of a sudden Bushwick was in a flooded area, and he wasn't entitled to get flood insurance. Now all of a sudden he lose all his stuff, and you see these scoopers developers coming in there and knocking down the 1 and 2 family homes. So you're initiating these things to occur because the city is not doing what they got to do. Lots of times, I know DEP don't clean these storm drains the way they're supposed to. Lots of times I had one myself. I walked over to storm drains that were fully packed, and they say they clean it all the time. I don't know what mechanism they have or how many years they have to clean, but they're not clean on a regular basis because they're not clean. And sometimes that too creates backup. And I also want to thank Sandy Nurse, because I was out there with her at 11 o'clock that night, seeing these people actually crying, people that bought homes. They had gone. So the city needs to be responsible. The city does, because they didn't do their due diligence, right? They knew they keep getting more and more people knowing that this sewer system can't take all the garbage and all the waste building. So yes, you are responsible for that. Yes, we are being disenfranchised, Latinos and Blacks like always. So y'all need to step up your game. And I hope all these elected officials get together and do what they have to do to make sure they get compensated with no fault of their own. They're flooded and they lost their homes.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. I see a few more questions. I just also want to be mindful of time. So it's about to be 7. I know we have more folks for this public hearing item, so we're going to honor them in a stack. I see Cassandra, I see Desmond, and then I know we have a homeowner that's on as well. Just want to do a time check respectfully.
No, I know,
Cassandra?
Celeste. I just want to let them know. Also, Hope Garden, they just wasted all that money on all those basements to get money back again when the city, they don't have that insurance.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. Cassandra? Your hand is still raised, Cassandra?
I think Cassandra put in the chat, she had to step away for a moment. So maybe.
No problem. Desmond?
Yeah, my question is to Sandy. Maybe they can help. So if in the areas of Bushwick where there are no insurance options, especially covered by the NFIP, the National Flood Insurance Policy, usually what happens during that period is there's like a buyout and acquisition if there can't be substantial rehabilitation or substantial mitigation efforts that can be made to the property. Is that going to be an option for people within the city? I know we did it in Staten Island. It was a huge buyout and acquisition program through the mayor's office and through the governor's office. Is the same thing going to happen in the Bushwick community or other communities that are susceptible to flooding, but won't be covered by the NFIP?
Thank you for your question. So are you talking about for this current round of flash flooding or from the last round? Because there are
current and moving forward. I mean, if they can't be covered through the insurance, then they're going to constantly be inundated with, damages. So what happens to the property? Do we do a buyout and acquisition and then no longer build there, or what do we do?
Yeah, so for folks who did claims last year, a lot of claims were dismissed, as I mentioned, by the comptroller because of the quote unquote natural disaster act of God. But these are now a recurring situation. We need to update what it means that the city system is failing. That's a longer term process. My understanding is a lot of FEMA folks who applied for FEMA support also didn't get a lot of stuff. People are still in the process of trying to reclaim funds. So it's a bit messy. In terms of this round, the places that got hit, some of these homeowners that got hit are not in flood zones, so they don't have flood insurance. So it's not clear yet what FEMA can do for them based on the conversations we've been having with them as they're filing these applications and as they're trying to get intake in the process. We're not fully sure what's being said to them yet. So we'll stay following along and we'll definitely keep reporting back. But this is something that this community really needs to be organized around because it's going to be continuing to hit here. And just to clarify, DP has done a lot of work in green infrastructure here, permeable asphalt parking lots, tons of rain gardens, specifically in this area. And just a couple of months ago, they did do a big stormwater basin catchment cleaning along Knickerbocker. I was literally there with the trucks. So they are doing things, but these are big capital projects and they take a lot of time. And right now the climate crisis is happening faster than our city can catch up, both from an infrastructure level and a regulatory environment. So this community in particular, I hope we can really keep this conversation going with all the elected officials and Community Board 4 around how we are going to make sure that our homeowners, our public housing residents are protected from the impacts that we are again seeing just 1 year later from Hurricane Ida. And we can anticipate that maybe happening later this hurricane season and moving forward. But I will definitely follow back up with something a little more concrete for you.
Thank you. I just want to know, is there a process of, before you put the mic down, is there a process of designating those areas that weren't flood zones? I know that has to go through the city. Is there a way you guys are working to do that?
I'm not aware of any efforts at this moment. Maybe the person from DEP can highlight if they know of any conversations that are happening between DEP and different parts of city agencies, but it's definitely something that the new flood maps that came out that DEP had, I know showed parts of Bushwick having recurring flooding. So in terms of, has that changed what is designated a flood zone and how that relates to your insurance and your insurance rates? Maybe DEP could give a little more insight on that if you have any updates.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we updated our flood maps. I'm not sure how it's going to relate to insurers being willing to provide that coverage to people in those inland flood zones. From what I understand, most insurers consider flood zones to be more coastal locations rather than inland locations. But as Ida has revealed, even inland locations, especially low-lying inland locations, are susceptible to flooding from moderate to heavy rainstorms to, full-blown hurricanes. So I'm not sure what the process is for what they find acceptable exactly to provide their coverage. But that's something I can at least ask about to see what our involvement is in regarding that. But it's also, I think, a question for insurers as well on what they would consider, appropriate locations to give coverage.
Thank you. And I know we have a homeowner that's been waiting patiently. You should be able to ask your question momentarily.
Hi, yes, this is Latrell Maddox. I live on Wilson Avenue and I'm a new homeowner, new to this area as of May of this year. I would like to understand, how do homeowners actually get some of these rain basin installations, the permeable concrete projects? What's being done to facilitate long-term strategies centered around remediating some of this water risk?
All right, so that's kind of a two-part answer then. So for the green infrastructure, locations can be put forward by the community, especially through local elected officials and community boards. But it has to go through a process of us testing the soil to make sure the soil underneath the ground, underneath the concrete, where we're going to install this infrastructure is permeable enough to make it worthwhile to install green infrastructure at these locations. Like, for example, Staten Island is mostly clay, so therefore there is almost no green infrastructure. All we have is the blue belt where we use natural existing water bodies to drain storm runoff because it's also a separate sewer system. Coney Island isn't getting any green infrastructure because their water table is so high where the water wouldn't even drain through this green infrastructure. So if you propose locations to us, we're more than happy to see if they're viable. And if they are, I'm sorry?
Oh, how do homeowners facilitate making those proposals? And then my secondary question is, most of my neighbors are just learning from me. I'm new to the area. And in the past 6 days, I've learned that through Department of Environmental Protection, through your water bill, there is insurance for sewage line cleaning and or repair, as well as water line. And there were a ton of roots in my sewage line that no one was aware of. So,
okay, so to facilitate the request for green infrastructure is to go through your community board or local elected officials. The insurance program that you're speaking of, a property owner needs to sign up for it specifically. We don't automatically provide it to someone's property.
Correct.
American Water Resources is a private insurance company that has a contract with the city of New York to offer coverage for damage, not cleaning, but damage of sewer lines and service lines. And it would be at a reduced rate compared to their normal rate of coverage. And it's included as part of their water bill. But a property owner needs to apply for that insurance first. It's not automatically applied to every property.
yeah, because it wasn't even offered to me when I signed up. So obviously I don't qualify for that for another 30 days because I just signed up for it last week. So you're saying that basically contact this constituency here, like just generally, like do I email? How do I petition to ask for rain basin installation in particular areas? That's
So
still
I may be able to help answer that. This is Celeste. I'm the district manager of the community board. You're more than welcome to contact us directly. I believe we've been emailing already.
Okay,
so you can always, and this is for anyone. Our email address is bk04@cb.nyc.gov. Our phone number is 718-628-8400.
Thank you so much, Celeste.
All right, you're welcome. And I believe that covers it for this public hearing item. This is our last call for any questions. Is the chat, we go with the chat? Ethan?
There's that question from Cassandra. I don't know if she ever came back, but I can touch on it if you'd like.
Sure. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so, okay, hi. So you had asked, has any updates on, do I have any updates on how the sewer system will be upgraded? So the way we go about, okay, let me break this down as best I can. So when we realize that we need to do an upgrade to a sewer system, we draft what is called a drainage plan. A drainage plan is essentially a blueprint of how we want the water to flow out of the community to the outfalls and into the water bodies to relieve flooding. And then from there, we bring it to Department of Design and Construction as a capital project. Their engineers make the actual blueprints. And then from there, they hire the contractors to do the actual physical labor of installing the sewers. Now, at the moment, we're in the process of revising all of our drainage plans to tackle this new reality that we're in. So basically, we're in the front-running phase of trying to find out, to determine the best way to improve drainage in New York City. So right now, we're working on all of our drainage plans, revising all of them, realizing that the past normal is no longer the normal anymore, and that these new drainage plans need to be done ASAP and these projects need to be done ASAP. But as mentioned by the council member, it is a process. It does take time. And it's also, we have to work in conjunction with the Department of Design and Construction with their availability for projects as well. We're not the only agency that uses them for capital projects, but essentially we're revising our whole strategy is what we've been doing since Ida, essentially.
And do you have a sense yet, like, what like the actual like infrastructure fixes like that need to be done are? And if so, would you be able to briefly explain them? But it's also okay if you don't, because this is like clearly a
No, I get what you're trying to ask. So essentially, the most layman's term of putting this is that the sewers need to be upsized, meaning they need to be a bigger size. Most sewers were built for what was considered, the average rainfall when they were built. And keep in mind, they were initially built like decades ago. So it didn't take into account climate change because, back in the 50s, 40s, whatever, they didn't even have that conception really. So essentially, most of our sewers are built, except for trunk mains, which are larger, but most average sewers are built to accommodate 1.5 to 1.75 inches of rainwater per hour. Now, rainfall, even on just a regular day, or even worse, these cloudbursts exceed that. So essentially, what is needed done for the infrastructure is to make the pipes bigger. That's the most basic way I can phrase it.
That was excellent. I understood that perfectly. Thank you so much, Robert. Both for answering that question and just for like being available for this portion of the board hearing to speak about this issue, because like, as you know, like it is something that is like affecting Bushwick residents right now. We really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, it's affecting everybody on every borough at this point now, and it's a scary reality. But I'm glad we're able to have these conversations to hear out what the community's concerns are, try to answer the questions as best we can. And I appreciate you having me here. I think this is my actually second meeting with this community board, even though I don't cover you guys normally. I think I did the meeting with the business owners along a certain certain street. I can't remember off the top of my head. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of meetings. So, but thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. And that will conclude this public hearing item. We're happy to have had this conversation this evening. We do have one other public hearing item, and I know we have our council member here. I just want to check first, is anyone from the 8-3 Precinct NCO program on Zoom?
Hello, good evening, CB4. This is Captain Sean Claxton, Executive Officer at 83rd Precinct. I mean, I had a report to prepare that I prepared for CB4, but if you want to get into our NCO program, more than welcome to do so.
Absolutely. We just have on the agenda this evening, I spoke with the NCO sergeant before, just to provide a brief overview of the program. We were hoping to meet or to know who the officers are. So any information you could provide would be great.
I'm so sorry. I wasn't aware that you actually wanted to meet with our NCO officers. I don't have any here in attendance with me. I mean, before I go any further, let me just I want to thank everybody. Last night we had a community council meeting, the first in person meeting pre-COVID, and it was a great turnout. And I look forward for the last one. I also just want to send quick prayers to and well wishes to our community council president, Ms. Barbara Smith, who was a bit under the weather. And I'm pretty sure she was there with us in spirit. Also, I want to send greetings from our commanding officer, Deputy Inspector Sarubi, who had a prior engagement, so she wasn't able to log on tonight. And I also want to take a quick moment to just thank your chair of CB4, Mr. Robert Camacho, for having conversations with frequent conversations with us in this precinct. He actually, Mr. Camacho, he sets that bar when it comes to police community engagement and relationship with the police department. Many of you may or may not know that he comes here and he expresses his concerns with our efforts, most often with fervent passion. And it's always apparent how much he cares for Bushwick and his community. And to be fully transparent, we do appreciate our conversations with him and his drive, because it just pushes all of us to want to be better and match his energy in our police engagement, community engagement, enforcement efforts. So with the NCO program, I'll give an overview of the direction that the department is going with the neighborhood policing. Since the introduction of neighborhood policing, the role of our neighborhood coordination officers have continually evolved to meet the emerging needs of the department. I'll just like to clarify and streamline the department's current operational expectations of our neighborhood coordination officers and those assigned to the 83rd precinct. The neighborhood coordination officer's primary responsibility is to actively patrol their sector with the goal of identifying and addressing crime and quality of life issues through problem solving and enforcement efforts where appropriate. This includes the identification of large parties, dirt bike rideouts, shooting locations, shots fired, robbery conditions, and various other major street-related crime and conditions. Our NCOs should be familiar with 301 locations in their sector and develop a plan to mitigate and any chronic locations. Our NCOs should also respond to all major incidents within their sectors during the tour to assist with preliminary investigation and gather intelligence and share information. Our NCOs should serve as a department resource in any situation that will benefit their geographical expertise. For example, assisting investigative units like our detective squads and identification of perpetrators in serious crimes. So throughout this, over the summer, I've personally, I reached out to our community partners within the precinct. They reached out to me, and we've utilized our NCOs to help with the community events, right? We had several book bag giveaways. We had park events. We had representative from the assembly, men and women of Bushwick, and we worked with them with anything they needed. However, now the department, in terms of NCO engagement with the community, the department wants our NCOs to engage with the goal of identifying and addressing crime and quality of life issues. Time spent on the community engagement should largely correlate with ongoing community complaints and conditions in their sectors. For example, community visits to bodegas to address commercial robberies, meeting with superintendents of problematic buildings, things of that nature. Including, they also need to identify quality of life crime conditions and developing solutions that should continue to be the main focus of our Build the Block meetings. We frequently post our Build the Block meetings online. I encourage everyone in CB4 and the constituents to just let the community know to attend these Build the Block meetings. We have it on our Twitter site. We post it on our Facebook page when we have these meetings, just to meet with your NCOs from the precinct, so they can further give us what they see, because we can't be everywhere at once, right? We need the help of the community. But that's really what we use our NCOs for right now, and the direction that we're going in terms of their tours. We schedule their tours, which should correspond with crime and quality of life issues in their respective sectors. And that's the direction we're going with our NCOs right now.
Thank you, Captain. We really appreciate that and your kind words about Mr. Camacho. I think I speak for everyone when I say his enthusiasm for what he does inspires everyone within this neighborhood.
Now, I will also want to thank
Questions,
Captain
board
Clausen.
members?
Celeste, can I, 2 seconds, I'd just like to thank Captain Clausen, because you know that we never had the captain got transferred out or he retired or whatever. And he took the forefront. And he came over and he did the best he could with what he had. And we want to thank him, and I want to thank him. Although he wasn't there only because the DI, only because he didn't have the time, he did the work. And I just want to thank him. He was always there for us. And I know he was out there in baseball, in the rain. He did talk. That's part of my report but let me tell you something, man. It's a good pleasure to have officers like that understand. And guess what? We may not agree. There were times I would argue with them. And guess what? They sat me down and said, "Guess we're going to make it, and we're going to work together." And that's all we ask for. Just get together. Let's do the right thing. We're not telling you any other thing than that. But I want to thank you. And we also have a beautiful DI. So y'all going to meet her. When y'all meet her, y'all going to think she's even better. So I want to just say that, 'cause I know that we got good men and officers in this precinct. If any one of them even does anything wrong, I know we can take care of home. We know how to take care of our people. Just like any one of these elected officials, when their employees aren't doing what they got to do, we don't put them on the spot. We make sure that we tell them that they need to address issues and they go back. So we got to take care of home. So that's what I want, and that's what I want everybody to do. Thank you. I'm sorry, Celeste, for taking a little more time. I got a full line that I'm writing up behind.
No problem. That was great. All right. I see another hand. I believe that's Zuma.
Yes. Hi, good evening. First of all, I hope Camacho is attending the community board meeting in Coney Island. I could see. And I want to thank the captain for speaking. I do have my question is reference to the quality of life. How do we go about reporting? This was just brought to my attention. If somebody's selling vehicles but using the sidewalk as this personal lot to sell used vehicles, how do you go about reporting that?
So
and I'll just mute myself.
So we do have everyone has access to the 301 system. You call 301 and you just inform the 301 system of when in terms of illegally parked vehicles, if it's not registered, no inspection sticker. We would come by, we'll do a brief investigation, and we'll summons that vehicle. If that vehicle has multiple summonses, then we'll go to the extent of getting that vehicle towed off the street. But that's the best way to initially combat that condition. And like, as I stated, everyone should have have a good relationship with the neighborhood coordination officers. They are assigned to a particular sector, and they would be able to further address issues that maybe just a summons won't be able to address.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. Then I'll go through the community board to find out who is the assigned officer as where I live. Thank you for answering that question, Captain.
welcome.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Anything in the chat? All right, seeing none. Thank you so much, Captain. We'll go ahead and we'll wrap up this public hearing item.
Thank you for having me.
We will, great. And we'll get down to the report from the precinct a little bit later. So before we do that, I do want to give our council member a chance to speak. Councilmember Nurse.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be very, very short because I know these meetings can go so long. Councilmember Sandy Nurse, I just want to give my office address and our phone number. We're at 1945 Broadway, behind Broadway Junction, next to the tombstones where no one comes. Please come hang out with us. We're trying to move, but in the meantime, come visit us. We do work remotely on Mondays. So just 3 things to keep in mind. One, I want to thank CB4 leadership, Celeste and Mr. Camacho, especially with support on collaborating to support the 41 folks who were displaced by the 4-alarm fire on Halsey the other night last week. 11 households were impacted. The same night there was flooding damage. So I want to thank Mr. Camacho for hanging out with me till 11:30 at night, going to check up on folks who had flash flooding. One woman, the windows broke in her basement apartment and she just got out in time. So it was very quick. And I'm glad that DP was here to provide a little more information, but we have a long way to go. The second thing I want to announce is we have a new community organizer for the Bushwick side. That's Fran. Fran has been around Bushwick for a long time, has been a friend to CB4 and has come to CB4 for a long time. So she's going to be taking care of our Bushwick side. So please get to know her and you'll see her face around. The third thing I wanted to announce is, or just to put on everyone's radar, I know many people are hearing about the asylum seekers that are coming to or being bused and being used as political football and being bused to New York City. Folks are coming with nothing, the clothes on their back, days old babies. It's literally a humanitarian crisis that's happening here in New York City. 11,000 people have been bused here. And so if you're meeting folks who may have just arrived, please send them to our office and let us know. We want to be able to provide support. We want to be able to help organizations. I know our shelters are feeling a lot of strain. We want to be able to help out with people with clothing and just get them in a place where they're able to navigate and know that they have an office here to connect with. So reach out to us. We want to help. And the third thing I want to announce is that this year we're going to be doing participatory budgeting, which I'm really excited to do. And it's the first time I think this district has done it, if I'm correct. So it's new and we'd really like to work with you all. If you have ideas right now, for those of you who don't know what participatory budgeting is, just the 30-second line is, it's basically we're offering 1 million of our $5 million capital budget that as a council member, we get to decide what we invest in. $1 million of that gets determined by you all. So we're really excited to have your ideas, all of your ideas. There's an actual idea map online, but we can send that out to you all. So you can start already putting stuff. People have a lot of conversations going on about the dog run in Irving Park. So there's already people talking. So please participate in those conversations, but bring your ideas. And we're going to be looking forward to doing some joint assemblies, some joint gatherings with Councilmember Jen Gutierrez, because their district has done this for many years. So we're excited to learn and collaborate with Councilmember Gutierrez's office and try this out here. And we're excited. So say hello to Fran on your way out, and she'll be around, and get to know her. And please come by our office again. And we're looking forward to seeing what ideas you all have and seeing if we get some cool stuff going. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. And I don't know if there were any.
2 minutes, please.
Yeah, please take the time, yes, please.
Sandy, I want to thank you, man, because I know, and Jessica. Jessica Franco was out there. I see her out there. And I want to thank you guys because, you know, I felt so bad for those people. I know y'all was out there trying to help them, especially those people that were burned out. And that's why I tell anybody, any one of us can be homeless, man. And it's a sad thing to see those people and these women and these kids got nowhere to go. And a lot of them were from our schools, family and kids from our schools. So we got to support them and help them. So I know that Sandy and Jessica from the senator's office, I know we can see if we can, I don't know what's going to happen with those 4 houses. I don't know if the landlord's going to bring them back. I don't know if the landlord's going to sell them. I don't know if there's going to be more market rate housing, but I know we got to keep our people home and we got to do something. Something needs to be done. I don't know what it is. Maybe we can all get together, all our board members sit together, make sure we take care of the people that are here. So I don't know what we can do, but we've been getting a lot of fires in Bushwick, a lot of fires. And any one of us can be homeless. So we got to look out for each other. That's all. And I just want to thank them and Jessica and Sandy Nurse and everybody that got involved. And Willie that was there all day. We were there till 11, 12. And trying to just give them a hug and let them cry on our shoulders and tell them that, you know, we understand, but we really don't understand, you know, but just give them comfort that we're here for them. And I also gave them our numbers and make sure that if we can help them in any way, that we're there for them. They're part of our community, all of them. So that's all I want to say. Even the new building.
It looks like Mr. Camacho may have frozen again, but it's okay. So the point has been finished. Thank you, Mr. Camacho. And I believe our council member wanted to respond.
Yeah, just one other thing. We've been working with Celeste for a while to get a citizens pruner tree course going. So we're doing that. Please reach out to us. I'll find the dates and post it and send it to you. Also, you can post it in the chat before the end of this meeting. Please sign up. I think it's a small fee. It's like a $15 class. But you know, the pruner for the parks department, the contractor, is under investigation from the FBI. So our trees are not getting pruned for a long time. So this class is going to be really instrumental in us taking action to take care of our own trees. And the more of us who know this skill, the better we can really support ourselves and take action, because I don't know when this is going to be resolved. So yeah.
What?
Oh, the classes are 4 Tuesdays. It's 2 hours, 5:30 to 7:30 at Bushwick High School on Irving. That's where Bushwick is, right? Yeah. But you have to go to all 4 classes. And then they have one outdoor class, and they'll let you know when you go to the first class where you're going to go to actually prune the trees. And it's only $15, y'all. $15. You're not doing anything else on Tuesday. Take class.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you, council member.
Yes, and it came from.
When is it?
Sandy Nurse's office. Yes.
With a lot of work with Celeste.
So we'll share the information again, just to make sure we have all the details correct. So it was in the newsletter in case anyone received the newsletter for this month, but we'll recirculate it. And if anyone has questions, feel free to contact the board's office or Councilmember Nurse's office. And this starts next Tuesday. So do it now, register now. All right.
Quick
I
question
believe that's
for
Go
those
ahead.
of us who are going to be attending the Housing and Land Use Committee meeting next Tuesday. Is there some way we could attend become a tree pruning person, but also miss one class or make it up later on?
So I had the same question, Anne, and then I actually asked Kim if she could cover housing and land use, since I was going to have to be there. But let's talk offline, and I'll see. I know. Let's talk offline and see what we can figure out.
Okay.
Celeste, me too. Don't forget about me.
There will be another one in the spring. We won't pick Tuesdays.
Or Wednesday.
Okay, spring has sprung. How about in the winter?
All right, so we'll follow up on this online, but great to see some enthusiasm, and a big thank you to Councilmember Nurse for making this happen. All right, I think that covers all our questions. Nothing in the chat. So, okay, so there was a question regarding zoning laws, and if I didn't quite get the first part. So basically, since right now we're seeing a lot of I understand the question now. So basically, because the neighborhood is seeing a lot of out of character construction because of the current zoning, when are we going to revisit that? That is a phenomenal question. I'm glad it's being asked. The Housing and Land Use Committee for the Community Board is meeting next Tuesday. We're going to have some updates both there and also a little bit later at this meeting, since it's been discussed, by the board's executive body. So that, we in terms of rezoning. However, we have been reviewing it for the past year under the umbrella of district needs. Some folks may remember the Bushwick Community Plan. Each committee of the board reviewed the relevant section from that plan, and we are scheduled at some point within the next few months to connect with city planning to talk about what's realistic. We've also had meetings with both council members to get a better sense of what may happen. As everyone knows, we have a new mayor, a new administration, so that means there's going to be some type of new housing plan. And right now they're figuring that all out. But we will absolutely keep everyone posted, and I encourage you to get more involved with the Housing and Land Use Committee for the details. All right, any other questions? Seeing none, we will go ahead and close our public hearing for this evening. Thank you everyone for participating. And we will go right into our regular meeting. Hopefully we'll be able to keep moving. I know we are a little bit pressed for time, but we thank everyone for being here, including our elected officials. You help make the most out of these meetings. So board members, please be ready. I'm going to start with the first roll call. Isa Abney, Stephanie Anderson,
Here.
Grace Aites. Oh, got you. Grace Aites, Joanna Bennett, Joshua Brown,
Present.
Raul Brown,
Present.
Robert Camacho,
Present.
Melissa Carrera,
Present.
Felix Ceballos,
Present.
Andrew Choi, Elvina Davis,
Present.
James Fitzgerald,
Present.
Freddie Fowler is excused, Joanna Fuentes, Christopher Graham, Ann Guiney,
Present.
Jose Guzman,
Present.
Hadia Harrison,
Present.
Tanisha Honeygan,
Present.
Barbara Jackson, Cheryl Jones, Virgie Jones,
Present.
Luisa Jose,
Present.
Nicholas Kaplan, Koebe Koti, Cassandra LeVay, Mary McClellan.
Present.
Oh, gotcha. Mary McClellan, Imani Mitchell, Desmond Monroe,
Present.
Sammy Namir, Zuma Navoa,
Present.
Kyle O'Rourke, Asaya Polite is excused, Gladys Pulia, Raul Rubio, Elise Ruiz.
Here and good evening.
Good evening. Milagros Sandoval, Bernardine Shell, Barbara
Present.
Smith. Oh, got you. Barbara Smith, Maria Soler, Dustin Somborn,
Present.
Annette Spellin,
Present.
James Stewart, Leo Teneo, Benjamin Talker, Jerry Valentine,
Present.
Tashana Wade, Carlotta
Present.
William. Got you.
Present.
Got you both.
Christopher Graham, present.
Thank you, Chris. Got you. 35 board members present. That constitutes a quorum. Thank you, everyone. All right, we'll move on now to the acceptance of the agenda. Is there a motion from the board? Barbara Jackson made a motion.
Ovina Davis, second.
Raul Rubio beat you, Ovina. Okay, so
All
Barbara
right.
Jackson and Raul Rubio. Thank you, everyone. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed, any abstentions? So moved. Moving on now to the acceptance of the previous meeting minutes. I do have to apologize. I'm still catching up from when I was out of the office last month. So if there could be a motion to table, I would appreciate that from the board.
Camacho request to table the minutes.
Second by Annette Spelling.
Second by Annette Spellin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? So moved. Moving on now, agenda item number 4, our chairperson's report, Mr. Camacho.
How are you? I hope everybody is safe and wonderful. Thank God we're seeing all of you. I know I'm not there, but I'm here at the boardwalk because as everyone know, I am the district leader of the 54th Assembly. So there is a vote today. So they told me that I had to bring myself here. So I have to do my due diligence and I'm doing both. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break it down from June because I have 3 pages full of things that I have been doing and I have been done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go from the 15th on, from the day of the board, that Wednesday, and then I'm gonna go down to September. And everything else I'm gonna fill in July and in August and all the stuff and activities that I've been gone. I hope, so June 16 at 6 p.m. we was a town hall meeting at 195 Linden. Tuesday the 21st at 6 p.m. we had the A3 Precinct Council meeting on Zoom. On Wednesday the 22nd, CB4 up workshop zoning, 10 participants were there. That Thursday, the 23rd of that Thursday at 3 p.m., me and Celeste went to a Troutman because there was a scaffolding or a sign that needed to be moved, and Carnetta said need to be there to get into the mat down to the basement. And me and Celeste went down there, and I guess they took care of the problem because he didn't want to take the sign down. So all of a sudden they did. So on Saturday the 25th, CB4 at 12 o'clock, team building at 195 Linden Home Garden. That Tuesday, June 28th at 11, CB4 District Manager Economic Development Chairs meeting at 12. And then on Tuesday the 28th, that same day at 6 p.m., we did the CB4 Cup Affordable Housing Workshop. Thursday, June 30th, CB4 at 1 p.m. Broadway update with CB3, CB4, CB16. Want to make sure we get funding for Broadway. We're trying to push to clean Broadway up. We haven't got any funding since 1977. So I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down to July, but I'm just gonna do I won't give you the dates. Just July 1st, Hope Garden, 10 a.m. Update. 6 p.m. The Rat Academy, 335 Central. Thank you, Sandy Nurse, from 1 to 3. She gave out those cans, the Rat Academy thing. It was very good. On Wednesday, July 6th, me and Celeste went to the town hall meeting at Boys and Girls High School from 6 to 8. On Saturday, July 9th at 11, 4 p.m., Celeste made me table with Kimberly at the FDNY on Palmetto Block Party. It was a lot of people there. It was hot. We gave all the stuff away. We gave cards. On July 14th at 6 p.m., the 311 walk kickoff meeting. Saturday, July 16, 11, Stop the Gun Violence Softball with the A3 Precinct, Cooper Street Block Association, and Quebradilla in Furman Park. PD, it was storming and raining, and these cops were out there playing in the mud. They looked like little kids in the mud. It was so funny. You should have seen them. They were catching line drives. It was wonderful that they were out with the girls playing ball, and we had a nice time. It was a storm that day, but we did it in the rain. We took a bath and took care of the mud, so we were all right. On Wednesday the 20th at 10, the A3 Precinct clergy meeting. Wednesday, July 20 at 6 p.m., Irving Square Park. Wepa with Sandy Nurse. We were playing and dancing salsa with Wepa with Sandy. We had a beautiful time over there. People were dancing. I attended a lot of block parties.
Beaver Street, DeKalb, Carmen, Myrtle, Lafayette, which is on opposite side of Bushwick, on Monday the 25th at 6 p.m. Brooklyn Borough Board meeting office in regards to the cannabis that's coming to Bushwick. Get ready, guys. We're gonna start selling weed soon in Bushwick. Saturday, July 30th, the EN IBZ at 234 Glenmore from 2 to 5. On Monday, August 1st, we was at a Prince conference with the NYN Transit with ACE integration with Sandy Nurse. She put more money into cleaning Broadway, East New York, some of the corridors there. On Tuesday, August 2nd, National Night Out, A3 Precinct Council. Thank you, Barbara Smith and everyone. It was really nice with the kids were out there, popcorn, Brooklyn North. Saturday the 6th, Wyckoff Health Fair. We was at the health fair. I was there. I was there. Hart Street closed Knickerbocker walkthrough. I was there August 10th. At 10, we had the district cabinet meeting. We also had WEPA. I went that same day. That Friday, August 12th, UPS, 10:30, Zoom. August 15th, a meeting CB4 update with the Nightlife. August 13th, community press at the new, we did a community picking at the A3 precinct, the new commanding officer, Barbara Smith, Avina Davis, and everyone was on a call in regards to how we were gonna interview the new commanding officer. There were two. We picked one, you know, who was there. We picked one, but they choose one. So we got the one we want anyway. So it didn't make a difference. On Friday, August 18th at 10 a.m. at 1556 Broadway, there's a new Dunkin' Donuts. I went to the ribbon cutting ceremony there. On Friday, the 19th, 10 a.m. Also 3:15 at 6 p.m. Celeste, I know Celeste was supposed to be there, but you know, Celeste, everyone knows she got hurt. So I was at a baby shower for the Bushwick Partners, community partners. I was at their baby shower. And Saturday, I was at Hope Garden Family Day. I was in Cooper Street Block Association Party. I was also in Maria Hernandez, Brooklyn Star block party they had in the park. And then I'm still going along. So you know I've been tired. On August 22nd from 11 to 2, the backpack giveaway for 80 Knickerbocker. On the 22nd, CB4 EPTC, PR committee. Thank you for the people that were off in the summer but came and did their committee anyway. Thank you. They volunteered on Wednesday, August 24th from 10 to 2. Got violence awareness in Woodhall. On Saturday, I also went to the backpack giveaway with Bushwick Olympics with Juhima, which is what's her name? From Juhima, everybody knows Anita Haynes. Saturday the 27th, the block party with the A3. I went with the Captain Clausen. He took me on a ride with his car. You know, I was acting as a police. We went to block parties on Troutman, Bushwick, Stockholm, Irving. We also went to Knickerbocker. You know, they closed Knickerbocker down, which is the Knickerbocker closing event. That same day, that Tuesday, the 30th, me and Celeste went at 5 p.m. to the United Senator Sillibrand Gill at LIU, right, Celeste? I guess I wrote it right, I'm not too sure. So I guess you'll fill you in on the rest. And then August 31st, from 1 to 2, we were at 422 Central, community partners, back to school event. They had everyone out there. And then I'm gonna start with September, Friday the 2nd, from 12 to 4, Maria Hernandez Park. Thank you, Marissa Davila, for the job fair. Tuesday the 6th, Brooklyn Borough Board meeting. On the top was Coney Island Amusement Park extension lease, which they tabled. And the Brooklyn Borough President has a comprehensive plan to address health disparities. So he's gonna fill us in or more. It's really intense. On Wednesday the 7th at 1 p.m., CB4 leadership, CEC, president on Zoom. The 7th, that same day, the executive board meeting. We had 15 participants. On Friday the 9th at 10, the RAD conversion. Friday the 9th at 10:30, the Borough Board consultation. Present was Department HPD, ACS, DSNY, NYCHR, and DFTA, Wednesday the 14th, CB4 District Cabinet. Also a walkthrough Hope Garden in regards to the flood condition and some of the fires. On the 15th, Thursday at 10, I participated in IS 387, 194, CEC, DOB, with our new school deputy superintendent. And that Friday at 10, DOT Zoom. I did the Zoom and that at the same time. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. September 19th, Monday at 9:30, the borough, another borough, we were there all day. DOB, HPD, EDC, SBS, Parks, and DO, Department of House and Mental Hygiene was there. September 20th, the 8th Precinct Council. We met the new ID, Deputy Inspector. I was at the clergy today, but since I got there late, but I went and got there anyway late. And today, the full board meeting, and that is the end of my 3-page. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. There's a silent round of applause. All right. Any questions for Mr. Camacho? All right, going once. So we had one of our board members, Ms. Fuentes, just flagged that you were also at August 26th, the Family Fun Day for families with disabilities. So I'm glad we got that in there too, so everybody knows. Okay, so if there are no questions, we're gonna thank Mr. Camacho. I will elaborate on some of the things he mentioned a little bit later in my report, but I'll keep us moving right along with the agenda. And we have our introduction of elected officials and representatives for those that have yet to speak. Please raise your hand so we know that you're here if you're participating remotely. And this also applies, we'll add our agency representatives and community-based organization representatives together just to save us some time. So introduction only, name, contact information for our elected officials and representatives, agency representatives, or community-based organizations. And I see Yvette.
Thank you, Celeste. Just quickly wanted to thank CB4 for always being proactive in the community and addressing the people's concerns. You guys are amazing and we appreciate you so much. So just wanted to point that out. But my name is Yvette Lopez. I'm the communications director for Assemblywoman Maritza Davila. And we are located at 249 Wilson Avenue. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 p.m. and can be reached at 718-443-1205. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Juan Mancela.
Hey everyone, hey CB4. This is Juan Mayancela, community organizer for Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez. Our office is located at 244 Union Avenue and our phone number is 718-963-3141. Thank you.
Thank you. Jonathan Pomboza.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Pomboza. I bring greetings from District Attorney Eric Gonzalez. Our offices are located at 350 J Street and our phone numbers are 718-250-2340. I could also be reached directly at my office line, 718-250-2817. Thank you. And happy Hispanic Heritage Month to everyone.
Thank you. Evelyn.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Celeste. I'm glad to hear you're doing better and I can hear you loud and clear. So that's awesome. I want to say hello to the chairman Camacho, always on the field, and say hello to our elected officials and our board members. I've been on vacation for about 2 weeks, so I'm catching up with everything. Watching. So I just want, my office is at 266 Broadway. I'm the district director for Congresswoman Nadia Velasquez. Phone number 718-599-3658. I hope you all had a great summer. I've been on the phone. I've been listening since the beginning of the meeting, and I'm going to jump off because I need to go elsewhere. But I wanted to say something, if I can, listening to the conversation about the flooding. That has been a critical concern for the Congresswoman. As you know, the infrastructure bill passed and was signed into law December of 2021. The Congresswoman penned a letter to Governor Hochul with the priorities having to do, one of them being the Bushwick community, Red Hook and Bushwick, over the flooding issue. We continue to revisit that. I spoke with Jessica Franco, who works with our senator, distinguished senator, and we were discussing the same thing that Camacho talked about. It is important to get our city agencies to really start cleaning up our drains, our storm catch basins throughout our district. It is critical. There's trillions of dollars that have been allocated for a lot of this work, and we will continue to monitor that. The other piece is we're organizing a FEMA town hall with SBA and the insurance industry. So we're going to be doing this collectively with our elected officials in about 2 weeks. So we'll keep you posted on the location. We're thinking either virtually or going to work with 195 Linden. But it is important because Fiona really injured a lot of our homeowners, a lot of our businesses. So we've been tracking that throughout our entire district. So I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see we also, I believe that's Carlos.
Hi, everyone. Hola a todos. Happy fall. I'm here with our great Senator Julia Salazar, but just want to say hi to everyone. 212 I know Senator said it, but 212 Evergreen Avenue. My number, I'm the Director of Community Relations, so it's 786-720-9476. Thank you all.
Thank you. I can't tell. Oh, I see a question from Tanisha. Go ahead. Tanisha, your hand's raised. Okay, we may have to circle back if anything. Oh,
sorry, Celeste, that was an accident.
Oh, no problem. All right, just want to be sure. So I don't see, nothing is in the chat. We'll keep moving on now. And I believe that brings us to our 8-3 precinct report. And I believe Captain Clack may still be with us, Captain.
Good evening, I'm back. So just to touch a bit on what's going on in the department before I get into 8 and 3rd precinct specifics. In terms of our law enforcement operations in the department, gun arrests have increased by 4.8% in 2021 versus 2020, 4,497 versus 4,289. Year to date, as of September 4th, 2022, gun arrests have increased 4.2%. Our stops have declined by 98.7% in the year 2021 versus 2011, which was the peak year, 9,112 versus 684,330. Year to date, as of September 4th, our stops have increased about 88%, 10,240 versus 5,435. In terms of our use of force in 2001, our members responded to almost 6.5 million 911 assignments, an increase of more than 4% from 2020. As a result of these assignments, force was used about 0.1% of the time. In 2021, calls involving weapons totaled 71,971, which is a 3% increase from 2020. 2021, forces were used 2.9% of the time during arrests and used approximately 1% of the time during encounters with persons in crisis. Moving on to training in the department, all uniform members receive de-escalation, cultural awareness, active bystandership for law enforcement. It's called ABLE training, and implicit bias training. Civilian employees have also begun implicit bias training as well. The department has completed training for over 34,000 of its uniform members in investigative encounters. That training is under the federal monitor. Terms of accountability and discipline, 91% of our uniform members have never faced a disciplinary charge during their career. Nearly 38% of our active uniform members have never received a CCRB complaint. Nearly 88% of our active uniform members do not have a single substantiated CCRB complaint. Complaints received by CCRB has declined by 55.5% in 2001 versus 2006. The numbers is 3,409 versus 7,663. So on to the 83rd precinct specifics. In crime, we're up in a few of our major index categories. Robberies, we are up for the 28-day period, 31 versus 16, an increase in 93%. We have been seeing an increase in street-related robberies, in particular emanating from our Heckscher Playground, Sector Boy, and we've recently developed a pattern where we have effected arrests of 2 minors that have been committing these acts. As I alluded to in our community council meeting last night, I want all of the community members and residents to rest assured that we have an excellent detective squad here in the 83rd precinct, and they do a great job in canvassing for video and IDing perpetrators for our apprehension by our patrol officers. So, if we haven't gotten them already, we're well on our way. Felonious assaults we have seen are mostly domestic violence related. We are up in felonious assaults 31 versus 25, an increase in 24%. We are down in burglaries 12.5% and see a 5.6 decrease in grand larcenies, 51 versus 54 for the 28-day comparison. Grand larcenies, we are up 23 versus 14, an increase of 64%. Many are happening from stolen motorcycles within the area. I encourage everyone who has a motorcycle or a moped, don't just leave it outside and within your curtilage, but please lock it up, get chains, make it very difficult for these perpetrators to steal your motorcycle. Our total index crimes, we have 163 crimes reported, which is up from 134 last year, an increase of about 21%. Crime is up, and so are arrests. So we've affected 174 arrests for the period versus 111. That's an increase of about 55% in arrests. That's crime. I'll just move on. I'll keep it moving. I know I don't want to take too much time. I'll talk a little bit about traffic safety. For the 28-day period, we are down in all of our statistical categories regarding collisions. We are down in collisions 147 versus 155 for the 28-day compared to last year, a decrease of 8 for 5%. Year to date, we are also down 5%, 1,225 versus 1,295. We are also down in pedestrian collisions, 6 versus 7, a total of 14%. We are down in bicycle collisions, 8 versus 16, a decrease of 50%. I'd like to attribute the downward trend in collisions to our many initiatives in traffic safety, in particular, the legal mopeds and street motorcycles. We've had initiatives regarding those. On Sunday, September 11th, we confiscated a total of 10 illegal mopeds and issued 53 summonses for e-bike and moped related violations. This was so successful that we had 2 more initiatives, Sunday, September 18th, and this past Monday, September 19th, where combined we confiscated 17 more illegal bikes, motorbikes, and issued 100 moving violations. We also do a lot of checkpoints in targeted area prone to collisions. We don't only use this opportunity to enforce, but we also educate, giving flyers and talking to motorists. We also did a joint informational campaign on Wyckoff, Jefferson, and Troutman with Mr. Lawrence Eastman of the Department of Transportation, educating e-bikes and moped motorists of pedestrian safety along the Wyckoff corridor. Regarding our enforcement on hazardous summonses such as disobeying signs, safety belts, cell phones, speeding, red lights, improper turns, and failure to yield the right-of-way pedestrian, we have a total of 647 summonses issued versus last year, 298, which is an increase of 354 or 121% increase for the 28-day period. We've issued a total of 4,640 for the year to date, and which we see an increase of 96% from last year. That's a report from the precinct and how we're looking in the 83rd. Thank you. Any questions, feel free.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board members? I don't see any hands. Is there anything in the chat? All right. I do just want to say thank you and provide some information to the community. So often the board's office will get calls about a lot of different issues in the neighborhood. And the captain mentioned one example of how we work together to coordinate interagency response. So when folks are calling us and saying there are e-bikes all over my block, there are people that are disregarding traffic laws, our first step is to notify the precinct. And then sometimes if we need education, we invite the Department of Transportation to work with us to make sure they can get the word out. So in this instance, they were able to do that on Wyckoff Avenue. And I know earlier in the year, they were also able to do this on Bushwick Avenue and Broadway. So thank you, Captain, for those efforts in the update. All right. Last call. Don't see anything. We'll keep moving on. And I believe that concludes our chairperson's report. So we will go right into my report. I just want to start off by saying good evening, everyone, and happy Labor Day and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. This is a very busy time of year. The board is officially back from summer recess. It is also the board's budget season. And what that means is, as Mr. Camacho mentioned, we've had 2 days of meetings from 9 to almost 5 with various agencies where we hear on a borough level what their plans are, how they review our district needs statements, and what projects they intend to implement within the coming years. Some important dates for everyone to remember. Next Monday, September 26th, is the board's annual budget committee meeting. That's going to be on Zoom at 6 p.m. The information is in our newsletter from this month, and I'm happy to provide it to anyone else that needs it. On October 12th, that is a Wednesday, we are endeavoring for the first time to plan a district needs town hall. So instead of each year, we have the option of meeting with agencies on a one-on-one basis within the neighborhood to talk about needs. This year, we said instead of scheduling 15 plus meetings with you one-on-one, how about you all come to us at one time in one place and not just hear from us, but hear from the larger community. So we're in the process of coordinating that with some assistance from city planning, who's also providing feedback on last year's district needs survey. Every year, the board's office submits a survey to city planning, which shapes our district needs and the budget requests that are reviewed at the budget meeting. Instead of just submitting information based on 311, based on our phone calls, our meetings and reports, we again endeavor to get more information from the public by releasing a similar survey for people to provide feedback. We want to build on that again this year. So we'll be relaunching that survey hopefully before the end of this week. Please keep an eye out. And if you've yet to sign up for our newsletter, please do so, because we'll be sharing the information that way. You can also follow us on Instagram at BKCB4 or Twitter at BK_CB4. And there was a lot happening this summer. I'm going to summarize my report, as Mr. Camacho and I attended a lot of the same meetings. But I do want to note that after the last board meeting in June, throughout the summer, we held 6 events. So time goes by quickly, but we held 2 CUP, that's the Center for Urban Pedagogy trainings. One was on housing affordable housing. The other was on zoning. In June, we also held a lovely team building event for the community board. I know a lot of our new board members participated, and we hope to continue those conversations. There was also a RAD Academy workshop in partnership with Councilmember Nurse's office. And then we held in July, when the board was on recess, we kicked off our 311 Community Walks initiative. Everyone knows 311 or should know 311. We are often frustrated when we don't get responses to some of those issues. So what we said is, let's take the frustration out of it. Let's meet our neighbors. Let's find a way to get information to those that need it. And so what a 311 walk is, anyone can do this. But essentially you take some time out of your day, you walk along your block, whatever the issues you see and you observe, we have a block report form. You can fill that out and submit it to the board's office. And we are generally successful in resolving some of the complaints. It depends on the complexity. If it is complicated, it depends on how it will be resolved and timelines. So please look for more information on our website, and we're happy to share it. In August, we also held a Nightlife Interagency meeting. Again, this meeting was inspired by 3 separate calls that came to the office, calls and emails. One was concerns about new venues that have, just a high C of O, 500 plus venues that have an impact on the community and those surrounding them. This event was held at 428 Troutman, which is Brooklyn made. For those that don't know, it's a new concert venue. So we thank them for hosting us. The meeting was very well attended. We had, I believe, if not all, the majority of folks that were in the Troutman Street area. So we know that that is now a nightlife cluster within the neighborhood. And the purpose of this meeting was not just to address the concerns, but to build relationships with those businesses to make sure we're effective when we're trying to address these issues, and to, of course, avoid anything escalating unnecessarily. And otherwise, this summer, we were talking again about some of our major capital and our expense needs, district needs in general. A lot of time, board members in the past have asked about 335 Central, which is our district public health office. I'm happy to share that we've continued those conversations with Dr. McNatt, and the rehabilitation project that we've heard about recently is still underway, even though it may be delayed. Mr. Camacho also mentioned Broadway. We will likely be partnering with our council members once again to have some type of advocacy campaign. Department of Transportation gave us a cost. They said it's going to take $100 million for us to see Broadway reconstructed, to see street safety improvements. That's a lot of money. So we're going to need everyone in this community to step up for Broadway. And I think we're gonna find out what it takes to get that work done over the next few months. And let's see. I also continue to participate in the working group meetings with other district managers citywide. This summer, we were able to have a meeting with the Council Government Operations Committee to talk a little bit about the work that we've been doing and some of the larger community board needs and our shared challenges. We also held a specific meeting with the Office of Technology and Innovation, which is formerly known as the Department of Information, Technology, and Telecommunications. They provide our IT assistance from the end of February to about the end of August. All 59 community boards were without a designated rep to provide IT support. So a lot of our issues, whether it was computer-based, server-based, phone-based, we were left to either figure it out on our own or wait for them to assign someone that wasn't a dedicated rep for the boards. It was very challenging during this time. We escalated a lot of these issues to the mayor's office, to our elected officials. And eventually, I would like to thank Councilmember Gutierrez, who helped us get this meeting with OTI. And eventually, they were able to hire someone before the end of August. So hopefully things will improve as we continue. We also had the opportunity to partner with the Department of Design and Construction's Town and Gown program on 2 public data projects. One was a budget dashboard to help the community learn more, like a budget 101 or a budget primer, to have a better understanding of the district needs as identified by the community board, which hopefully is an umbrella for the community. And then we also have some information on discretionary funding and other capital and expense budget priorities across the city. And attached to that project, there was also an engagement and infrastructure map. More information on both projects will be shared after the board reviews them. I encourage you to keep an eye out in our newsletter. Very exciting projects projects. And we're super grateful for those students at both Columbia and Lehman for their work. And we look to continue it and build on it to make it a useful tool, perhaps not just for Bushwick, but for the city at large. And we have 5 upcoming events. I don't believe it. We just came back from the recess 2 weeks ago, but already we have 5 that are underway. We will be continuing the Center for Urban Pedagogy trainings, mostly around housing and land use. So keep an eye out for more information. We have our district needs town hall on the 12th of October. We will be partnering with both Riseboro and SBS on a business best, I believe that's what they're calling it now, essentially business acceleration services on October 20th. And then our first CUP training will be on October 27th. All information will be provided in our newsletter. And I believe, and the last thing, I just want to thank Mr. Camacho, the community board, the board staff, Sharon and Kim, everyone that reached out this summer. For those that don't know, I was in an accident the end of July, and I was not able to speak for a while. My jaw was wired shut. And I have to say that I definitely felt all the thoughts and the prayers. And I firmly believe that this community is the only reason why I'm here. Now speaking again, very clearly. So thank you to everyone that was there for me in my time of need. And it's happy to know that I still have family here in Bushwick. So thank you. All right, so we'll keep it going. We'll move on now to our committee reports.
Celeste, can I
go ahead.
please, yes, and I want Celeste.
Go ahead.
And I didn't tell everybody, all right, that you got hurt, because everybody keeps saying that I rat out. No, I'm only kidding. No, we miss you. I'm glad you're good, and I did all the talking for you because you couldn't talk, so I was doing all the talking. How's that?
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. It was literally the week after, and he kept calling me, and I'm like, I can't talk. I can't talk. He's like, submit your timesheet. I'm like, give me a minute. I got to recover. I'm still in the hospital. But no, I'm really grateful to the community board, and I'm very happy to be here and be back and ready to take on this new meeting year and all the exciting projects, right? We tend to focus on all the negative, a lot of garbage, you have a lot of rats. We also have a lot of good people that sincerely care about this neighborhood. And that is certainly unique. You don't find that in every single community, because communities grow, they change. But I'm very happy to be somewhere where everybody is here for Bushwick. So thank you, Mr. Camacho. All right. We'll move on now to our committee reports. We only have 2. We're almost there, folks. Starting with our Economic Development and Permits and Licenses Committee. And I believe Desmond is going to cover the report.
Yeah, I'm going to cover it real quick. It's a long report, so forgive me. We're going through the applications. So this meeting was held on August 9th, 2022 at 6 p.m. So first, New York State liquor license application review. I'm sure I'm going to butcher his name. Balada, De Rosa Corp, 238 Wyckoff Avenue, New WBC, located between Grove Street and Benham Street. Business has been operating as a restaurant. The owner applied for a WBC liquor license to increase revenue. The establishment had previously received a favorable CB4 recommendation. However, due to technical delays, the recommendation needed to be updated. Their intended sale of alcohol hours, as stated in the committee meeting, are as followed: Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m., Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m., and Saturday from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. PLC chairperson informed the owners of stipulations: no amplified music, no alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sunday, and outdoor space must be closed by 10. Owner agreed. Establishment owner will not be participating in open restaurants program. Establishment owner has good standing relationship with neighbors and will conduct additional community outreach, as well as provide future job postings to CB4 for the Bushwick Job Board. PLC chairperson invited applicants to attend the CB4 regular monthly meeting on September 21st. I don't know if they're here. CB4 office will follow up with meeting information. Next, Bushwick Taco Company, Inc., 839 Knickerbocker Avenue. new WBC application located between Covert and Shaper Street. Business has been operating for 3 years as a Mexican cuisine restaurant. The owner is applying for a WBC liquor license to increase revenue. Their intended sale of alcohol hours, as stated in the committee meeting, are as follows: Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. POC chairperson informed the owners of stipulation: no alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sundays, no amplified music, outdoor space must be closed by 10 p.m. Owner agreed. The establishment will not participate in open restaurants program. Establishment owner was encouraged to conduct community outreach and will provide future job postings to CB4's office for the Bushwick Jobs Board. Again, PLC chairperson invited him to this meeting. I do not know if they are here. The Monkey King, DBA, the Monkey King, 1239 Willoughby Avenue, new LWBC license application located between Wyckoff Avenue and St. Nicholas Avenue. Establishment has been operating as an Asian cuisine restaurant since February. The owner is applying for an LWBC liquor license to increase revenue. Their intended sale of alcohol hours, as stated in the committee meeting, are as follows: Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., 1 hour break. And then again from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., 1 hour break, and then regaining again between 5 p.m. and 12 a.m. POC chairperson informed the owner of stipulations: no alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sundays, no amplified music, and outdoor space must be closed by 10. Owner has agreed to the stipulations. Establishment will not be participating in the open restaurants program. Establishment owner has previously worked with local businesses, conducted outreach to neighborhoods, and will provide future job postings to CB4 office for the Bushwick Job Board. Again, they were invited to be at this evening tonight. I don't know if they're VPH Venue Inc., DBA Vacations, 321 Star Street, new LWBC, located between St. Nicholas Avenue and Cypress Avenue. Business owner has lived in Bushwick for 22 years and owned establishments throughout Williamsburg, Ridgewood, and Bushwick. The establishment has 2 floors in which they will operate as a rooftop bar every summer, offering a short food menu, and will transition to operating from their downstairs restaurant / bar for the remainder of the year. Their intended sale of alcohol hours, as stated in the committee meeting, are as follows: Monday through Wednesday from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m., Thursday through Saturday, 4 p.m. to 4 a.m., and Sunday from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. PLC chairperson informed the owner of the stipulations: no amplified music, no alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sundays, and outdoor space must be closed by 10. Owner agreed. Establishment will not be participating in the open restaurants program. Establishment owner has done outreach to the neighborhood and the 83rd precinct and is familiar with local organizations and will provide future job postings to CB4 office for the Bushwick Job Board. They were also invited this evening. The next is Bush Brooklyn LLC, 45 Irving Avenue, store 6, AKA 333 Troutman Street, new LWBC application, located directly on the corner of Irving Avenue and Troutman Street. Female business owners have lived in Bushwick for 10 years and are opening an LGBT plus friendly bar offering a short food menu. Their intended sales of alcohol hours are as stated in the committee meeting: Monday through Wednesday, 4 p.m. to 2 a.m., Thursday through Saturday, 4 p.m. to 4 a.m., and Sunday from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. POC chairperson informed the owner of stipulations: no alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sundays, no amplified music, and outdoor space must be closed by 10. Owner agreed. Establishment is in the process of being soundproofed. Establishment owner will not be participating in the open restaurants program. Establishment owners have introduced themselves to neighbors. POC chairperson encouraged further community outreach to local organizations and the 83rd precinct. Owner will provide future job postings to CB4 office for the Bushwick Job Board. Again, they were also invited to the meeting tonight. Next is Farewell Brooklyn LLC, 143 Troutman Street, new LWBC application, located between Central Avenue and Evergreen Avenue. Establishment has been operating as a breakfast cafe in the daytime and an LGBTQ plus inclusive bar venue at night. It is transitioning under new business owner / management. Their intended sales of alcohol hours, as stated in the committee meeting, are as follows: Monday through Wednesday from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., Thursday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 4 a.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. PLC chairperson informed the owner of the stipulation: no alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sundays, no amplified music, and outdoor spaces must be closed by 10 p.m. Owner agreed. Establishment will not be participating in open restaurants program. The new owners are committed to keeping their current staff and agreed to provide future job postings to CB4 office for the Bush Street Job Board. Establishment owners have previously worked with local artists and businesses. PLC chairperson encouraged further community outreach to local organizations, either precinct. And again, those applicants were invited this evening. And that's what we have. Celeste.
Thank you, Desmond. Are there any business owners here this evening? Okay, so they're no longer with us now. So I believe that concludes the report. Are there any questions from the board about this report? Seeing, going once, going twice, seeing none. All right. We'll
Ann
save
has
the
a question.
recommendation. Oh, go ahead, Ann.
Just a quick question. Are people, it seems like everybody is not applying for the open restaurant programs. Is that something that the committee is encouraging, or just out of curiosity? I was struck by the fact that so many were not applying for that. That's all.
No, we are concerned about parking. And open streets takes up the parking, because if they're on the street and not the sidewalk, because most of those little sheds are not on the sidewalk. So we are definitely concerned about parking. We don't want to limit someone's entrepreneurship, goals, because we know each seat that they add could be $5,000 to $10,000 worth of revenue. But we also understand that people actually live there and need to park there. So we're not for or against it, but we do let them know that there is a challenge of parking within a neighborhood, and they should think consciously before they take up more parking with their spaces, with those dining sheds.
No, thank you. That's super helpful. Does this preclude them from ever applying for it in the future? Because that just, as you say, that just seems like it could potentially be an issue. I just want to learn as much as I can. That's all.
Celeste, I don't know if you can answer that. I don't know if their agreement to not do it now precludes them from doing it in the future.
No, so not necessarily, and it just means that they're not planning to do it now, but they're still agreeing to the stipulation that if they were to do something outdoors, that it would have to end by 10 p.m.
Thank you. That helps a lot, just to clarify my questions. Appreciate that.
And Kim just added as well that it asks for them to let us know. That's also in the stipulation. So if they do change their minds in the future, for them to just inform us. So that's part of it. All right. Seeing no other questions, we will move on now to our next committee report, and that is environmental protection, transportation, sanitation, plus parks and recreation. Barbara Jackson. Hold on 1 second, Barbara.
Okay, my report is short. The first one, when we had a person wanted to come in and have the street signs change because when they come home from work, they can't find a parking space. Basically, that's what it was. But the street signs now are like from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. because that was a commercial area. But she wants this to be changed to the normal hours. But it was explained to her that's something that the board does not do. And there's a process that has to be done, okay? Then we also had New York Apple Car Service just to come in to renew their license, okay? Which was approved. And then we also had the review for the ball fields, the applications that we do every year. And those who came in get the fields that they wanted. And that's my report. Short.
Very nice. Any questions for Ms. Jackson? Going once, going twice. All right, we'll keep moving on to our recommendations. I believe we only have recommendations for both committees this evening. So starting with permits and licenses, economic development, Desmond.
Okay, so recommendations are, let me go to. All right, so these are the recommendations. Agenda item 4 recommendations. Motion. So recommendation was motion to vote in approval of the establishment L. Ensa Balado de Rosa Corp. to 238 Wyckoff Avenue, New WBC. So basically, we recommended to approve with the hours and the stipulations.
Is there a motion?
Go ahead.
You want to go? Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to just remind everyone what the hours are?
Yes, the hours are, sorry, let me go back. The hours of the establishment Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m., Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m., and Saturday from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m.
Yep, Raul has a point of order.
From listening to the report, it looks like we have a lot of different places to approve. Is there any way, if you don't have any particular objections to any of the sites, is there any way that we might be able to just vote all of them at one time, as opposed to doing each individual one?
I have no objection to that.
So is there a motion to blanket vote for all of these recommendations?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a motion for these blanket votes before we go into.
Make the motion.
Yep, so Raul just made the motion. Jose, do you mind being the second?
I do.
Okay,
I don't.
perfect.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. So Raul made the motion to blanket vote for all of the recommendations from permits and licenses. Jose Guzman seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Oh, there was one opposed? Okay, so I have one opposed. Hold on.
Elvina Davis abstained.
Okay. Thank you, Elvina. One abstention. Let me just make sure I have everyone. So I have 2 opposed and 1 abstention. Anyone else? So moved. This motion carries. So, yeah, that was just the motion. Now we would have to have the vote, the recommendation for the vote. So if any board members need for Desmond to go back through all of the establishment locations and the hours, he can do that now. Otherwise, we would just be asking for the vote based on the recommendations as they were discussed in the committee. What is the board's preference? Would you like a reminder for the business's location and hours, or would you just like to vote?
I think we should
So
vote off.
Joanna would like to make a motion. What is the vote options are yes. So in favor of the stipulations for the committee, is that, or what is the vote recommendation?
I vote that we just, the blanket vote was carried, and so that we can just vote yes or no on the proposals.
Okay, so right now the recommendation would just be yes, no, yes with stipulations, or no with stipulations. So, and this is the vote on the recommendations. So is there a specific recommendation from what the committee has already put forward to the board? What is the recommendation, or what is the?
So what we put forward in the notes is basically, to the ones that we listed, we had no issues. It was yes with recommendations. I mean, with stipulations, sorry.
Yep. Okay, so is there a motion for yes with stipulations for all of these establishments?
James Fitzgerald, make a motion for yes with all stipulations.
Raul Rubio made the motion for yes with stipulations for all, and I believe I heard Raul Brown. Was that you? Would you mind being the second?
I'll second.
Yes, I'll second.
Okay. Zuma beat you to it. All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Elvina Davis abstained.
Okay, 1. Okay, so 3 abstentions. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you, everyone. I think we just saved a good 15 minutes. Okay, So we now have our Parks and Recreation recommendation, I believe. Barbara Jackson.
I think I gave them, our recommendation was to give him a letter,
Oh, so
the
good.
Apple, the New York Apple service, because he only asked for a letter. And the recommendations were about the parks, and we gave it to them. There was no problem.
Okay, so the committee is recommending approval for both the car service item and also the fall permit schedule. We'll start with the car service. Is there a motion for this recommendation of yes for the car service to support them for no objection, a letter of no objection?
Annette Spelling,
Annette Spellin makes a motion.
yes.
Davis second.
Alvina Davis seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. And now the park fall permit schedule. The committee recommended approval based on the schedule that they drafted Mr. Camacho helped draft for the committee. Is there a motion from yep, James Stewart and Raul Rubio seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. All right, I believe that's the end of our recommendations for this evening. We are now moving on to our old business. Is there any old business? Going once, going twice. We're on to new business. Any new business? Going once, going twice. Moving on to announcements. Please raise your hand. 1.5 minutes for everyone. If you're participating via Zoom, please raise your hand. All right. Oh, and we also have in person here. Go ahead. You can come up to get the mic. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Fran, the community organizer for Sandy Nurse's office. I just wanted to add some things to the participatory budget. It's in English and Spanish, so is the website. The flyer should be in the chat for tonight's meeting. You can also reach out to our office. There's only 3 ideas in the District 37. So since it's the first time, I'm not surprised, but I'd like to see more. Not all ideas will get funded, obviously, and they have to meet certain guidelines in order to get approved. And then eventually, like in a couple of months or weeks, there will be a voting moment where the community votes on the project that they want to fund, or projects plural. And then it should be rolled out sometime in the spring, I believe, but it is a voting process. So submit away, and the council member will have her eyes on the projects that don't get voted or approved, and we'll kind of consider them for other work that we do in the district. So even if your idea doesn't get chosen, we will be looking at it and monitoring it. So just, dream high.
Thank you. And I see, yep, Jonathan.
Yes, hi there. Good evening, everyone. This is again Jonathan from DA Eric Gonzalez's office. Just want to make an announcement. We're having a Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. The theme is Our Stories Across Borders and Oceans. It's on Monday, October 3rd from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Williamsburg Hotel, 96 White Avenue. You can RSVP by emailing communityaffairs@brooklynda.org or calling 718-250-3888. Thank you.
Next is Juan, I believe.
Yes. Hey. Can you hear me? Am I good? Hello? And can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. All right. Hey, so I just have a quick budget update. So our office did fund ACE to do more cleanups on Knickerbocker Avenue and Wyckoff Avenue, as well as the side streets. Our transport is still kicking in, and we will be having a e-waste event on October 29th, so in front of Maria Hernandez Park. Our office allocated $5.5 million to Maria Hernandez to renovate and upgrade the playground. We also funded Bushwick Schools and Woodley Hill Hospital through other capital funding. The fences that went up around the fields of Green Central North to protect the fields, and our office has received feedback from some people that are unhappy with this, and we are responding to every email. I just sent out a draft email to Celeste. We provided funding to businesses in Knickerbocker Avenue with the Brooklyn Chambers of Commerce. And we also did provide the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce to turn on the holiday lights on Knickerbocker Avenue. Once again, our office is participating in PB. So we are asking everybody in the 34th district to submit ideas. I will drop down the link and you can contact our office with any ideas. And another event that we are having is on October 8th. We're having a basketball event at Maria Hernandez. So you can please stop by on October 8th. And that's all of my updates for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Celeste, can I just
ahead.
let him know? If you do get calls like that, I just want to let you guys know that that park, it's a baseball field for the kids. It was closed before. It was always closed. What happened was they needed to do renovation on the bathroom that they put there brand new. So they took the gates off to bring the stuff in and out and the truck out. Now that it's closed, they're complaining. We also got calls of dogs making holes and the kids that can't use the park this year because of all the dogs and the feces in there. So park department is gonna fix it, seed it. I understand. If they need something, I know people were talking about the dogs chasing the ball around, people getting bitten in there. There's a lot of issues just besides it being closed. Before, if you had the permit, that park is permanent out. You used to go to the precinct across the street, give your ID, they give you the key, and you use the park for the kids. It's 12 and under. It's a baseball park. It's not a soccer field, not a football, but during the daytime, the school uses it. But we also need to fight for those people to use the public lot that they have to create a park for them if they want. And they have created a dog park in one of those big buildings they got across the street from Norm. And I want to thank you for also helping us take care of our kids and build a new park for our kids before we could build the dog park. So I want to make sure our kids have the first dip in having to use our park. So we'll work with you, but there's certain things that needs to happen before anything does occur. Thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, and a response does say the exact thing that you mentioned, Camacho. So, and I did run it through Celeste first before making it public. And just one little thing that I forgot was that the asylum seekers that are coming into our district, our office will be hosting a resource fair for them on September 28th from 3 to 7 at Woodhull Hospital.
Thank you, Juan. And thank you, Mr. Camacho. I'm happy to report that the council member's office, the community board, and the parks department are all aligned on what's happening at Green Central Knoll. That communication is really key, and we're happy to hear that they're going to be reseeding the field so that way it can be reopened in the spring for the leagues to play. And I see next, I believe that's Josh Brown.
Yes, good evening, Community Board 4. I just want to notify, well, first I wanted to thank everyone for coming out to our first set of meetings for deed fraud as well as estate planning. Just want to notify CB4, we do plan to be doing more workshops, a webinar on this because deed fraud is affecting Bushwick residents. People are getting their homes stolen and families are losing their properties because they haven't probably estate plan. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. And I have an announcement on behalf of Barbara Smith. Just give me one moment. The 8-3 Precinct Community Council is hosting an ID Your Kids for Free Operation Safe Child event. It's going to be on Monday, the 26th from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at New Jerusalem Methodist Church, which is right at 484 or right next to 484 Knickerbocker. It's a free NYPD ID for kids. There are going to be snacks and face masks. Also free registration of bikes, cell phones, and personal electronic devices. And it's sponsored by the 8-3 Community Council, the 8-3 Community Affairs, Crime Prevention, NYPD Youth Strategies Division, and Assemblywoman Maritza Davila. For any questions, you can call the 8-3 Precinct Community Affairs at 718-574-1697. All right. And I see one other announcement. I believe that's Damaris.
Yes, hello, Celeste. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to provide a really quick update. It's actually a pretty important one, so I wanted to make sure I came on and let everyone know. So DOB actually launched the small business support team. It is up and running. It is operational. And what it is a one-on-one guidance to small business owners and entrepreneurs planning on opening a new place of business or renovating an existing one, or generally needing answers to project specific inquiries, and it's provided at no additional cost. So this is a great unit that has been put in place to help small business owners one-on-one. Additionally, it also kind of helps all of these small business owners get their projects through DOB without all these complex sort of red tape. It helps expedite small business owners projects, small business projects. So there's a link that I'm actually going to put in the chat. All this information is on our website. We haven't received any new literature on it yet because it's brand new. It literally just launched. So once we do have some literature, I'd be happy to send it over to CB4 so you can hand it out at your office. But I will also put the link in the chat to get some more information on the small business support team. And everything is done online, so you can contact the small business support team unit just online, strictly online, and to meet with DOB staff to get assistance on your project. And then one more thing, I just want to remind everyone about Buildings After Hours. That's every Tuesday at the Brooklyn Borough Office, 210 Geralman. We're open until 7 p.m. Great opportunity for members of the public to meet with DOB staff on any questions, concerns regarding their property. And that's it.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone took notes. All right.
I'll put it in the chat.
Well, yeah, for those that are here, we have both in person and remote, but thank you for dropping it in the chat. And Ms. Bennett also has an announcement.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say I have a concern. This business that opened at the corner of Wilson and Jefferson. It is called Mr. Bamboo, B-A-M-B-U, and they sell gummies. This is 1 block away from PS 106 Elementary School. I'm just telling, think parents should be aware. I don't know what protocols these people have, what protections are involved, but we need to look out for our children. Our Community Board 4 is doing so much to protect our children. Everybody announced that. And we don't want people coming here that's going to counter the efforts that we are putting forth. So just kind of look out. I'm not making any accusations, but it's very close to a school and it bothers me.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. And as Mr. Camacho mentioned, we did have a meeting, a preliminary meeting with the Cannabis Control Board as they were about to announce that the cannabis retail was going to be coming to the city soon. The Community Board will be involved in that process. So we will be notified when folks are legally applying to sell in the neighborhood. As we know, folks have not waited. Since legalization, they have had trucks, they have actual storefronts that are now trying to sell. There was a round of cease to desist letters that were sent initially. Those individuals, if they refuse to desist or cease and desist, they will potentially face penalties as well as not be able to seek a license in the future. There's also a recent sweep from the sheriff's office where they came, and I believe it was more than several trucks. There was a parade of trucks that were taken from the neighborhood. So they're absolutely aware of what's happening, but please let us know, and we can make sure that any locations that are illegally selling, which unless they have a license, it is illegal to sell. But it's not illegal to possess anymore. So we have to make sure we're flagging these for the Cannabis Control Board. Thank you. Anyone else? Last call announcements? Going once, going twice? All right, seeing none, we will move on to our second roll call. Board members, please be ready. Carlotta Williams. Tashana
I'm still here.
Wade. Got you, Carlotta. Tashana
right.
Wade. Jerry Valentine.
Present.
Benjamin
Have a good night,
Tucker.
everyone.
Got you, Jerry. Benjamin Tucker. Leo Teneo.
Have a good night.
James Stewart. Annette Spellin.
Good night.
Dustin Somborn.
Good night.
Maria Soler. Barbara Smith is excused. Bernardina Shell. Milagro Sandoval. Eliseo Ruiz, I heard him say goodnight. Thank you, Eliseo. Raul Rubio.
Thank you.
Gladys
Thank you.
Julia. Kyle O'Rourke. Sammy Namir. Desmond Monroe. Imani Mitchell. Mary McClellan. Cassandra LeVay.
Here, have a great night.
Koibe Koti.
Happy good
Nicholas
night.
Kaplan.
Here, have a good night.
Luisa Jose. Virgie Jones.
Good night.
Cheryl Jones. Got you, Virgie. Barbara Jackson.
Good night.
Tanisha Honeygan.
Good night.
Hadia Harrison.
Here,
Jose
good night.
Jose Guzman.
Present. Good night.
Ann Guiney.
Good night.
Christopher Graham.
President, good night, everyone.
Joanna Fuentes. James Fitzgerald.
Present, good night.
Alvina Davis.
Good night.
Andrew Choi. Felix Ceballos.
Present. Good night.
Melissa Carrera. Robert Camacho. Raul Brown.
Present. Good night.
Joshua Brown.
Good night, community board.
Joanna Bennett. Grace Aites. Stephanie Anderson. Isa Abney. Motion to adjourn, please.
Celeste, did you get
Barbara
me
Jackson made a
Navoa?
motion.
Okay,
Raul
Celeste.
Rubio seconds.
Yes, Celeste, did
All
you
in-
get me? Navoa. Sulma, did you get me?
Yes, I got everyone. In
Okay, good
favor?
night.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any
Aye.
abstentions? So moved. Have a good night.
Good night,
8:46.
everyone. Good night,
Bye,
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Night, everybody.
Bye. Bye, Celeste.
Bye-bye.
Call me later, Celeste.
Celeste, did you get that I was here?